That's right. John, could you talk about several of the programs that Reach for Youth has?
Yeah, at Reach for Youth, we have 3 main programs that we run, 2 actually falling into the diversion program area. We have the teen court program, and what teen court is an alternative to the traditional juvenile justice system. So if a young person gets arrested for the first time, a lower level offense, they have the opportunity to choose our program to go to instead of having to face the traditional juvenile court. Upon successful completion of our teen court program, that record is then, the formal charges are dropped from their record. So they get the opportunity to have a second chance. The difference with our court is that it's run by teenagers. Teenagers are the jury members and teenagers are the attorneys. So essentially they're having to be faced by their peers and held accountable and held responsible for their actions by their own peers. And the jury decides what type of consequences that person, that offender, is going to have to face for the actions that they took that resulted in their arrest. Our restorative justice program is similar to teen court in a way that the offender still has to face the crime that they've committed and the effects of that crime, but in restorative justice, the victim actually has a voice. And how restorative justice works is we do a conference with the offender and the victim and any supporters that want to come on the offender's end and the victim's end. And together they sit down, discuss the situation, talk about how the crime affected each side of that crime, and then together they come up with consequences or a plan to kind of restore what has been damaged throughout that process. And at the end, everyone signs a contract, and that offender has to go away with that contract and honor that contract in order for that charge to be dropped from their record. The third area that we have is counseling. We serve at-risk youth and their families in general counseling area. We basically touch on some anger management issues, some alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs, issues like that we know are pressing for our youth. We try to address those issues with the youth and their family.
Is there anything you'd like to add on that, Christopher? Or?
Yeah, one thing that we do as a specialization within our counseling programs is we treat sexually maladaptive youth, or kids who've committed sex offenses against other kids. It's a pretty specialized field for us. We provide outpatient treatment for kids who are at low to moderate risk for reoffense in an outpatient setting for at least 1 year. What we've seen in our adolescent sex offender treatment program is that 93% of the kids who go through that program after 10 years have not committed another offense. If you know a lot about recidivism rates with regard to sex offenders, you'll see that 93% is quite significantly higher than those who are incarcerated and don't get the kind of treatment that they can get at Reach for Youth.
And